Hello, my name is Lee Dude. Welcome to Horn Day 2021. Today we're going to be covering the second horn part to The Pink Panther Meets James Bond. We're going to go through it letter by letter, one at a time, and then we'll end by playing the whole piece all the way through. Along the way, I'll give you some tips and tricks, some alternate fingerings you might try to make it sound better, and also some, we'll touch on like the problem spots that you might occur while playing this piece. So looking at the beginning starts with some snaps on 2 and 4. We often will have the beat be on 2 and 4 in a jazz style piece. This is what the Pink Panther is. It is a jazzy style piece. So pretty much straightforward, straight clear from the beginning to A. So you're just gonna snap as loud as you can on beats 2 and 4. 1, 2, 1, 2, and 4, 2, and 4. So, pretty easy. Everybody can snap, right? This brings us to letter A. So this is actually a swung piece, like most jazz pieces are, which means we're going to emphasize the 2nd and 4th beat, and it's also not going to be so straight. And what I mean by that is this. You're not going to be like... So it's going to be a little more jazzy, a little more laid back, a little swung, and it should sound a little something like this. So that brings us to my first helpful hint in this little passage here at measure 11. So the triplets, I actually would use alternate fingerings. I don't know if you all are familiar with these fingerings, but so I might use, for instance, so obviously B flat is going to be trigger 1. Then you have A, trigger 1, 2. But I'm going to use an alternate for G. I'm going to use trigger 1 as well. So it would do like this. So that is an alternate for G that you can use. We don't use it very frequently because it tends to be a little out of tune. But on a quick passage like this, it makes it clean, makes it sound good. So this is one place it would work. I would also use an alternate on the E and the D. So normally we would actually finger those open for E and D would be 1. But I want to tell you use the B flat side of the horn as well. And to finger it, E would be trigger 2 and D would be trigger 1, 2. So that way it comes out a little more cleanly. So that way it would sort of brings it up from the texture a little bit that's going on behind you. Then obviously at B, from B to C, we sort of had the same sort of swung feel, right? And it ends sort of the same way. There aren't really any trick fingerings I'd use for this part, so it's sort of the same way. So playing from A to C, it would sound a little bit like this. So right there, we want to make sure that we don't hold the long note too long. Just 1, 2, 3 off and have enough time to breathe so we're not late coming into C. C is just a repeat of letter A, so this should be pretty easy, pretty good. I would obviously use the same alternate fingerings here. This leads us into D. So at D, we got a little slightly different rhythm, and you're going to emphasize certain parts of the beat you wouldn't normally emphasize. So remember, we go back to what I said about the jazz style. It's you emphasize beats 2 and 4. So when you're playing this, so you're gonna emphasize a little bit the E and the G part, and then it's also swung. So it's not so da 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 da, but more swung ba ba do da do da do da do. Okay. Then when we get to the second measure of that, we're going to emphasize the downbeat. So not so much the A, but the... to bring that out a little bit, okay? In the third bar of D, we want to make sure that we make a difference between the triplets and the dotted 8/16 notes, okay? So we're going to repeat that several times. So D to E should sound a little bit like this. This also also could be another place where you might want to use alternate fingerings. So you want to use that trigger 1 for G again, the trigger trigger 2 for E, and the trigger 1, 2 for D again. I, however, would probably tell you not to hang on the long E note. So not to hang on the long 6-beat E with the trigger 2. It tends to be a little out of tune. So you might want to go back to the open note on that part. So a little bit like this. So releasing that last note. And we're going to do that 3 times in a row. And then you're going to want to have a little front to those, but then back away, because it adds on. Da, 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 da. Good, so that brings us to letter E. Letter E is sort of a fun part here. It starts the James Bond section. So it's a little bit less swung, but it's still swung, okay? This is a part where I would definitely use all B-flat horn fingerings. So go back to the trigger 2 for E. Then I would actually use trigger open for F, and trigger 1, 2 for D, and trigger 2 for E. Then you also have a D sharp there. So trigger, that is also the same as E flat, right, in harmonic. And I would use trigger 1. So do a little bit like this. Now, there is also a very cool technique, if you're familiar with it, which is double tonguing. This might be one of those places where you use double tonguing. Double tonguing basically means that your tongue rebounds twice in your mouth. So it actually hits the top of your teeth there and then hits the top of your mouth like that. And we would do that by saying, I always use a different syllable than a lot of people use. A lot of people use like tucka, 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 that you'll hear that a lot. I actually always use, to make it a little bit lighter, I use diggy. So diggy, 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 diggy. So if you can actually say that within your mouth, then you should be able to play it. So it'd be very helpful in these 16th notes. Now, that makes it a little more cleanly, but if you have a very fast triple or very fast single tongue, it doesn't matter either way. So I can do it both ways. You got to figure out what works best for you. So that's single, and we want to try to make our doubles sound the same, but that's maybe for a different day. So then this is all just make sure we're not dragging. You stay very sharply in time. You're sort of the background until we get to F. F, you tend to be take over the melody here. So from E to G sounds a little bit something like this. Now, I also didn't mention that there's a couple of other fingerings here, because I would use B flat horn for basically E all the way to G. So when we have B flat F sharp, that is trigger 1 and 2. And then back to obviously we got the G again. So if you look at F, it'd look like this. Da 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 da. On quicker passages, it's going to be slightly out of tune, but it makes it pop. So it's got an extra little zing to it that we don't have normally. So that's pretty much that. And we want to make sure we do a nice big crescendo. And then make sure that that's an E natural, right? So your accidental does not cover through the bar. It stops at the bar line, okay? So it's definitely an E natural. Basically from G to I, we have sort of the same, you're the background here. So one of the other horn parts has the melody. So you want to make sure you just hang back. This is not your time to shine. This is your time to just have a nice, big, warm, pretty sound. Definitely use all F horn fingerings here, except obviously when it gets above the staff. So very easy. So very easy, very smooth, very lyrical. Just make sure we're staying in time and we're not dragging, okay? That's going to be the biggest thing. And then going on from H. All F horn, nice big round sound, not just basically hanging back until we get to I. Now I is your part. I is your time to like give it a little bit. But remember, this is a swung piece, jazzy piece, so it's not dot dot, but do dot, do dot, do dot, do dot. So making sure we're trying to delay the second eighth note a little bit, make the first eighth note a little longer. It should sound a little something like this. So you got a longer first note, shorter second note, and it gives this like swinging type feel that we really like. The third bar of I actually goes back to you're just the background. So you're just little ba, 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 da. And it's going to be basically the same until we get to L. But let's play this through so you can just get an idea for what it sounds like. So starting at I. And then don't do what I just did. So the notes actually change. They were on 2 and 4, but you have to then at J switch to 1, 3, 1. So be careful that you don't do what I just did. So going back 2 bars before J. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4. And then here at L, you actually sort of take over you have like a harmony to the melody in the first horn, but it's still sort of, it's a very cool thing. This is sort of like the melody here, so we got the same one, do da da do da do do da do do da do do da do da do do da do do do. This would be another place where it'd be perfect time to use the B flat horn fingerings. So I can't reiterate enough that when we were down in that at register between say like G and maybe like B flat below the staff, that is an awesome time to use those fingerings unless we're holding out notes, okay? So when we have a C sharp at L, that is trigger 2, 3. And then obviously we got the E again, which is trigger 2. F sharp, which is 1, 2. G, which is trigger 1. Okay, so it sounds a little something like this between L and M. Then we have this theme that we had back at I, returns it at M. So the same. And then the end, we have a layering from the 4th part all the way up to the 1st part. So you want to bring out your part, the 3 bars for the end, where we have 3 and 1. Bring that out, but then get away, because then the 1st horn takes over. So it starts with the 4th horn going ba-da, ba-da, 3rd horn, ba-da, ba-da, then 2nd horn, da-da, da-da. Then the 1st horn goes da-da, da-da. So bring that out, but then get away. So M to the end sounds a little something like this. Then obviously big, nice, open note for G. Drop your jaw, make sure big ah, like you got a big hot potato in it. And get this nice warm sound to end the piece, and very cool. All right, so now we're gonna go back and the same click track that I used to actually record our massed ensemble, I'm gonna play the whole piece along with you guys, so you can practice it with me. And you can also hear the cool way that we actually recorded the masked horn ensemble piece. All right, so this is the beginning of Pink Panther meets James Bond. 3, 4, 2, and 1, 2, 1, 2, ready, and snap. Great. I hope you have a great time practicing that, and I hope you join us for Horn Day 2021. Thank you very much. Hello, my name is Lee Duke, and welcome to Horn Day 2021. This video should help you prepare for the masked horn ensemble part to Auld Lang Syne, the second horn part. This is obviously a favorite to everybody to sing around New Year's. We sing it to remember the old and to look forward to the future. And obviously 2021 is a year we could look forward to and get 2020 behind us. So the horn part to this is actually pretty straightforward. There's only a few things that we need to actually look out for and maybe look at for a second. So first of all is the repeating dotted quarter note eighth theme that is throughout. So you have 1 and 3, 4, 1 and 3, 4. It repeats many times throughout this piece. So it just sounds a little something like da, 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 da. So pretty easy. Second thing to look out for is that we do have a repeat in this song. So if you look, when we get to measure 17, there's a 1 above it. That means the first time we play that bar, and then we repeat back to measure 2. And the second time through, we actually will play bar 18 instead of 17. Other than that, the only other thing I could give you a helpful hint about is maybe sometimes when you play below the staff, so the B flat and the A, that you might try using the B flat horn on those. They might actually might help you pop those notes out a little bit, make it sound a little better, a little crisper. So you might play those with trigger 1 and trigger 1, 2 for A. Other than that, let's play through it. We'll play through the same click track that we all use to make the mass ensemble, because I think that might help you guys prepare. Big thing is, don't drag. So here we go. Here's Auld Lang Syne. It starts with 2 measures before. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. All right, thank you. I hope to see you at Horn Day.